All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time, we're tackling the second part of Thus Spake Zarathustra by
Ooh, Nietzsche.
Friedrich Nietzsche. That's right.
It's
We've got excerpts from the book, of course.
gonna be a wild ride.
Yeah, and we really want to get into what makes this section of the book tick.
Yeah.
What are the big ideas here? What's Nietzsche trying to get across? So think of this as your uh, crash course, I guess, in part two of Zarathustra.
Definitely rewards a close reading.
For sure.
Nietzsche, he doesn't pull any punches.
No, he does not.
He's really challenging our assumptions about, well, pretty much everything.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
Like how we should live.
Right.
What's good, what's bad.
Yeah.
What it means to be human.
All right, so let's jump in.
Let's do it.
We're picking up with Zarathustra himself. He's back in his cage after spending some time out there among the people.
Back to the cave.
What kind of vibe are we getting from him at this point?
I think there's a sense of internal conflict brewing. You know, he's grappling with this tension between, like, his desire to connect with those he wants to teach and his kind of growing frustration with how hard it is to really be understood.
I get that.
Yeah.
It's like when I don't know, you stumble across like an amazing new band. Right?
Yeah.
You're dying to tell everybody about them.
Tell me.
But you just know that like explaining their sound is going to be, it's just not going to do it justice.
It's more than just like a genre. It's like a feeling.
Exactly. It's way more than like, oh, they're kind of like rock, but also not.
Yeah, exactly.
And Nietzsche really captures that struggle, right?
Yeah.
This whole like nature of solitude, the challenges of really connecting with other people.
Human connection, it's messy,
Yeah.
but also beautiful.
And then, of course, like the weight of responsibility that comes with being,
Oh, yeah.
kind of, a giver of knowledge, especially when you know.
Zarathustra, he really sees himself as a prophet, right?
Yeah.
He's got something to offer.
A prophet, yeah.
To world.
Okay, so we've got Zarathustra back in his cave. He's wrestling with these huge questions.
Yeah.
And then he drops this bombshell, right?
Oh, yeah.
God is dead, one of his most famous lines.
Huge statement.
Yeah, and it's not just about, religion, right?
It's way bigger. It's about our whole value system that's built upon traditional religious belief.
Yeah. So what's he getting at here?
I think for Nietzsche, the death of God represents a collapse, like the whole system is crumbling.
The old ways.
The old ways.
Morality, authority, the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing.
And that's terrifying.
Oh, for sure.
But it's also incredibly liberating
Oh, yeah.
because it opens up the possibility for something new to emerge.
Absolutely.
And this is where we get to the Superman, right?
Yeah, the Übermensch.
I have to admit, when I hear that, I always picture like caped crusaders and...
Yeah, it's tempting, isn't it, to picture like a superhero?
Yeah.
But Nietzsche's Superman, it's more of a philosophical ideal, right? It's about humanity reaching its full potential.
All right, so not so much about flying and X-ray vision.
Not so much the superpowers.
Yeah, but more about like the strength of will.
Strength of will, yeah.
Self-mastery.
Overcoming limitations, striving for growth. That's the real Superman.
Okay, yeah, so about becoming like a better version of ourselves, however we define that.
Exactly, and that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like this focus on the power we have within ourselves
Mm-hmm.
rather than relying on, these external forces or traditional morality.
Okay, so that's where his critique of traditional morality comes in,
It
right?
all ties together.
Yeah, because he sees things like, pity, humility, selflessness.
Oh, yeah, all the things we usually think of as good.
Yeah, not necessarily as like inherently good,
Right.
but sometimes as like expressions of weakness.
Weakness.
Yeah,
Mm.
resentment.
Like sometimes these values
Yeah.
can be used to keep people in line,
Keep people down, yeah.
control those who might otherwise rise above the norm.
It's like he's flipping the script on what we usually think of as good and bad.
He's shaking things up at a fundamental level.
Yeah, no wonder people found him so controversial.
Oh, absolutely.
So what does he offer in place of those traditional values?
He proposes a revaluation of values,
Okay.
where power, creativity, and affirming life
Yeah.
become the guiding principles.
Okay, that sounds great in theory.
In theory, yeah.
But how do you actually do that?
It's a great question.
How do you question everything? Where do you even begin?
Yeah, that's a question Nietzsche grapples with throughout the book.
Okay.
But he introduces two big concepts
Okay.
to help us navigate this revaluation.
All right, Hemi.
The will to power and eternal recurrence. Those are the big ones.
Okay, will to power. Is that like this aggressive drive to just dominate everybody?
Not necessarily. It's more like a fundamental force driving all of life. This urge to grow, to overcome,
Okay.
master yourself.
So it's less about brute force and more about that inner drive to
Your inner drive for sure.
become the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like for you.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
Now, eternal recurrence, that one's a real head spinner.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
It's the idea that every single event in your life, every choice, every moment, it's going to repeat infinitely.
It's like cosmic Groundhog Day or something.
It is, but with huge philosophical implications.
Yeah.
So think about it, right?
Yeah.
You're going to live this life again, and again, exactly as you lived it before.
Talk about high stakes.
Right. So Nietzsche uses this to make us think about our choices.
Oh, okay.
If you had to relive every single moment,
Right.
every triumph, every failure, would you change anything?
That's a really good question.
Would you live differently? It's a call to live authentically and make choices you won't regret, even if you had to experience them for eternity.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
The will to power being this drive to become more.
Yeah.
And then the eternal recurrence being this way of, like, making sure those choices,
Yeah, thinking about the weight of your choices.
you can stand by them,
Yeah,
even in the face of, forever.
exactly.
So where does the higher man fit into all of this?
The higher man, that's the one who embodies these principles,
Okay.
right? Striving to fulfill their potential, live a life worthy of repeating.
So it's not so much about achieving some specific goal,
Right.
but it's more about that ongoing journey.
Journey of self-discovery, yeah.
Self-discovery and growth, yeah.
And it's not about being perfect.
Right.
Nietzsche, he acknowledges that suffering, struggle, those are essential parts
Part of the process.
of growth and self-discovery. Embrace the whole experience,
Okay.
the good and the bad.
This is starting to make sense.
That's it.
Yeah. Good. So we've got, like, Zarathustra's rejection of traditional values, this call for revaluation,
Yeah.
these huge concepts of, the will to power, eternal recurrence as tools for navigating that revaluation.
Exactly.
But this is supposed to be a novel, right?
It's a novel, yeah.
Thus Spake Zarathustra. Where's the story in all of this?
It's there, trust me.
All right.
Nietzsche, he uses such vivid imagery,
Okay.
and storytelling to make his points
Okay.
really come alive.
I'm intrigued.
So, for example, there's this incredible encounter between Zarathustra and a dwarf
Okay.
in a section called The Vision and the Enigma.
A dwarf?
Yeah, it's
Ah,
packed
yeah.
with symbolism and metaphor.
Perfect.
Highlights the poetic and almost dreamlike nature of the book.
I like that about Nietzsche. I mean, he's not just presenting these dry philosophical arguments.
No, not at all.
There's real artistry to his work.
He's a poet at heart.
Yeah. Yeah, it's both thought-provoking
Oh, yeah.
and, captivating at the same time.
Exactly.
He keeps you on your toes.
Keeps you thinking.
Yeah.
And he doesn't shy away from humor either.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There's the scene in The Convalescent where Zarathustra's disciples, including an ex-pope and, this character described as the ugliest man,
Okay.
they end up worshiping an ass.
They worship an ass.
I know, right?
Okay, now I have to hear more about this.
Oh, it's a wild scene. But Nietzsche, he uses it to satirize blind faith.
Oh, I see.
And, the absurdity of certain religious rituals.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that he's not afraid to challenge conventional thinking,
Yeah, yeah.
even in the most unexpected ways.
That's fantastic.
So he's taking these huge existential questions,
Yeah.
weaving them into this richly layered story that's both profound and entertaining.
It's a good combination.
It is, and that's what makes Thus Spake Zarathustra so captivating.
Yeah.
It's this blend of philosophical depth,
Wow.
literary artistry, and these moments of unexpected humor.
Yeah.
You never know what's coming next.
And it definitely sounds like a book that keeps you thinking long after you've finished it.
Oh, for sure.
It sticks with you.
And one of the things that makes it so thought-provoking is, the paradoxical nature of Zarathustra's teachings,
Yeah.
He urges self-reliance,
Mm-hmm.
but also advocates for a love that transcends titty.
Wow.
He can be incredibly harsh and incredibly compassionate.
At the same time?
At the same time, it's this constant push and pull.
Yeah.
that makes you confront your own assumptions
Mhm.
about good and evil,
Right.
about strength and weakness.
So he's not giving us the answers,
No.
but he's giving us the tools to ask better questions.
Exactly. He's giving us a new way of seeing the world.
It's powerful.
It is, and that's just the beginning. We've covered a lot of ground.
I know. I feel like we're just scratching the surface here.
We've barely scratched the surface of part 2 of the Spoke Zarathustra.
I'm ready to dive deeper.
Let's do it.
What's next in Zarathustra's journey?
Well, let's just say he's going to encounter a whole bunch of characters and challenges.
Oh, boy.
That'll push him to really refine his ideas
Okay.
and confront the complexities of what it means to be a higher man in a world that often resists change.
Sounds like we're in for a wild ride.
Buckle up, listener.
But buckle up indeed, because this deep dive is just getting started.
Okay, so we left off with Zarathustra back in his cave, after being out in the world.
Yeah, right.
And he was really grappling with those challenges of trying to teach.
Trying to teach you.
And that frustrating reality
Yeah.
that not everyone's ready to hear his message,
Yeah, I get that. It's like you try to explain the beauty of like a really complex symphony
Oh, yeah.
to someone who's like only ever listened to pop music.
I feel that.
You know that there's depth there,
Uh-huh.
but like actually bridging that gap
Yeah.
can feel impossible.
Like, how do you even begin to describe it,
Yeah, exactly.
And that feeling of being misunderstood, of wanting to share your wisdom, but like struggling to find the right audience. It permeates this part of the book.
So how does Zarathustra deal with that?
Yeah.
I mean, does he just give up and retreat back into solitude permanently?
No, not at all.
Okay.
He recognizes that, the path of the teacher,
Uh-huh.
the giver, it's inherently difficult,
Yeah.
but he also understands that drive
Yeah.
to share his insights,
Uh-huh.
to help humanity move towards the Superman.
Right.
It's too powerful to ignore.
It's like a fire in his belly.
It's like a fire burning inside her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fundamental to his own will to power, I think.
It's like, I don't know, like when you create something you're really proud of.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know, a piece of art,
Yeah.
a new invention, or even just like a really delicious meal.
Oh, tell me about it.
You want to share it with the world,
You want to share it with the world?
even if it means risking rejection
Totally.
or criticism.
And Nietzsche celebrates that creative drive,
Yeah.
as something essential to what makes us human.
Yeah.
It's what allows us to transcend our limitations,
Mm-hmm.
strive for something greater.
So as he continues on this path,
Yeah.
what are some of the specific themes that he's exploring in this section of the book?
Well, one of the key themes is this idea of bedwarfing virtue.
Bedwarfing virtue.
Bedwarfing virtue, yeah.
Okay.
He explores this in the chapter with the same name, and it's a really powerful critique
Okay.
of traditional morality.
All right, break that down for me.
Essentially what he's saying is those values,
Okay.
like selflessness,
Uh-huh.
humility, constantly catering to the needs of others,
Yeah.
he says that can actually limit human potential.
Oh, okay.
Keep it small.
Keep it small. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
those expectations that we get from society
Yeah, societal expectations.
to play it safe, don't rock the boat, fit in
Fit in, don't stand out.
rather than stand out.
And-
It's almost like it becomes like a cage,
It's a case.
preventing us from becoming who
Yeah.
we're meant to be.
And Nietzsche, he argues that these values, they often stem from resentment, like a desire to control others
No.
rather than like a genuine impulse towards goodness.
Okay.
And he sees true virtue as something much more active
Active, yeah.
and individualistic,
Okay.
something tied to that will to power,
Right.
the constant striving for self-mastery.
So it's not about being a doormat or denying your own needs
Ooh.
for the sake of others.
It's about recognizing your own power
Yeah.
and using it to create something great
Create something great.
for yourself and for the world.
That's a pretty radical idea even today.
Oh, yeah.
No wonder Nietzsche was so controversial back then.
Absolutely. He was way ahead of his time.
So how does he explore this in the book?
Yeah.
This idea of like creating your own values
Yeah.
is very abstract.
Well, he does it through like a series of vivid encounters, metaphors. Okay.
So for example, in On Passing By, Zarathustra comes across this group of people
Okay.
who've lost their faith
Okay.
and they've abandoned their traditional way of life.
All right. So they're kind of lost.
They're lost, they're confused,
Yeah.
unsure of where to go next.
It's like they've jumped off a cliff without knowing how to fly.
Exactly. They rejected the old ways,
Yeah.
but they haven't figured out how to create something new
Yeah. Yeah.
to replace them.
So is he advocating for like just blind rebellion?
No, No, not at all.
Okay.
Nietzsche's not advocating for blind rebellion
Okay.
or nihilism.
Right.
He's not saying that all traditional values are bad
Okay.
or we should just throw everything out.
Gotcha.
He's challenging us to think critically,
Okay.
question everything,
Yeah.
and ultimately choose the values
Uh,
that align with our own individual will,
Own will, yeah.
aspirations.
So it's about making a conscious choice.
Conscious choice.
Yeah.
Not just rejecting things for the sake of rejecting them.
Exactly. It's about finding what's true for you.
But that level of self-awareness and, like, courage to stand alone, that's no easy feat.
It's not. It's a challenging path.
Yeah.
But Nietzsche suggests, through Zarathustra, it's the only path
Okay.
to true freedom and self-realization.
So he's not just leaving us hanging with these big ideas.
No. He gives us guidance.
Okay.
He encourages us to reflect, to understand our own strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
He even emphasizes the importance of solitude,
Oh, interesting.
not as a way to escape the world, but as a way to cultivate that inner strength and clarity.
So to truly connect with others,
Yeah.
to create something meaningful in the world,
Uh-huh.
we first need to connect with ourselves.
Exactly.
Understand our own values and motivations.
It's an inward journey,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's a key theme throughout the book.
So it's not about seeking validation from others
Yeah.
or, like, conforming to those societal expectations.
It's about finding that inner compass
Yeah.
and following it,
Following it wherever it leads.
wherever it may lead.
But Zarathustra is not just this, like, lone philosopher wandering around in the wilderness, right?
He's not alone.
Yeah.
He interacts with other characters.
Yeah.
He faces challenges. He experiences conflict.
So what kind of challenges is he up against?
Yeah.
Is it mostly, like, external conflict?
It's both
Wow.
external and internal.
Okay.
He faces opposition from those clinging to the old ways,
Okay.
those who fear the Superman,
Yes.
and the radical transformation that he represents.
Right.
But he also wrestles with his own moments of despair,
Uh-huh.
the temptation to give up on his mission,
Yeah.
the weight of the responsibility that
Yeah.
comes with being a teacher and a guide.
He's fighting a battle on two fronts.
Exactly.
The external one against those who, like, resist change,
Mm-hmm.
and then this internal one against, like, his own doubts and fears.
His own inner demons, yeah.
And through all this,
Mm-hmm.
Nietzsche is really highlighting how difficult this task is.
Oh, it's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
He's not just preaching from a mountaintop, you know?
Yeah.
He's actively engaging with the world,
Mhm.
trying to shake things up,
Yeah.
to push humanity towards this new way of being.
And that change starts with changing ourselves.
It always starts with ourselves,
Yeah.
right? Embracing the will to power and striving to become those higher men
Higher men.
that Nietzsche envisions.
And Nietzsche doesn't shy away from the challenges involved in that process.
Not at all.
Right. It takes,
It takes sacrifice,
sacrifice, discipline,
discipline,
willingness to confront, our own darkness.
our shadow side, that's part of it too.
Yeah.
But he suggests that the rewards are worth it.
Yeah. It's like no pain, no gain.
Exactly.
But in this case, the gain isn't about, material success
Right.
or worldly achievements.
It's about something deeper.
Yeah, it's about achieving.
It's about achieving a higher level of consciousness,
Okay.
a deeper understanding
Yeah.
of ourselves and the world around us.
Okay, so it's all starting to click into place for me.
Good.
We've got Zarathustra rejecting traditional values,
Mm-hmm.
this call for revaluation,
Yes.
these big challenging concepts, the will to power, eternal recurrence,
Yeah.
like as tools to navigate that revaluation.
Tools for the journey.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be a novel, right?
Right.
Thus spake Zarathustra.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the story?
Oh, the story's there. It's
know.
woven throughout.
Okay.
Nietzsche uses these vivid images,
Got it.
storytelling, to make these points come alive.
Okay. So give me an example.
Okay, so there's this fascinating encounter between Zarathustra
Uh-huh.
and a dwarf.
A dwarf.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a section called The Vision and the Enigma.
Okay.
It's packed with symbolism,
Okay.
metaphor. It highlights that poetic
Right.
and almost dreamlike nature of the book.
And I like that about Nietzsche.
Yeah.
He's not just presenting dry philosophical arguments.
Not at all.
There's real artistry to his work.
He's a poet at heart.
Yeah. It's both thought-provoking and captivating at the same time.
Absolutely, and he keeps you guessing,
Yeah.
You never know what's coming next.
And he doesn't shy away from humor.
Oh, not at all.
Give me an example.
Okay, so in The Convalescent,
Uh-huh.
there's this scene where Zarathustra's disciples,
Okay.
including an ex-pope, and this character described as the ugliest man,
Okay.
They end up worshiping an ass.
They're worshiping an ass.
An ass, yeah.
Okay, I got to hear more about this.
Oh, it's wild, but Nietzsche uses it to satirize blind faith
Oh,
and the absurdity of certain religious rituals.
I see.
So it's a reminder that he's not afraid to challenge conventional thinking.
Right, even in the most unexpected ways.
Exactly. He's taking these huge existential questions.
Yeah.
And he's weaving them into this richly layered story that's both profound and entertaining.
That's a good mix.
It's a good mix, and that's what makes Thus Spake Zarathustra so captivating.
Yeah.
It's that blend of philosophical depth, the literary artistry, and those moments of unexpected humor that keep you on the edge of your seat.
And it definitely sounds like a book that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
It does. It sticks with you.
So what else makes it so thought-provoking?
Well, I think one of the things is like the paradoxical nature of Zarathustra's teachings.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he urges self-reliance,
Right.
but he also advocates for a love that transcends pity.
Okay.
He can be incredibly harsh
Mm-hmm.
and incredibly compassionate at the same time.
Yeah, it's that tension.
It's that tension, that push and pull that
Yeah.
forces you to confront your own assumptions
Right.
about good and evil,
Yeah.
strength and weakness.
So he's not giving us easy answers,
Nope.
but he's giving us the tools to ask better questions.
Exactly, to question everything we thought we knew.
That's powerful.
And we're just getting started. We've covered a lot of ground, but
Yeah, we've just scratched the surface.
we've barely scratched the surface of part 2.
Okay, I'm ready for more. I want to dive deeper.
Let's dive in. What's next on Zarathustra's journey?
Yeah, what's next?
Well, he's about to encounter a series of characters and challenges
Okay.
that'll push him to further refine his ideas
Okay.
and confront the complexities of what it means to be a higher man
Right.
in a world that often resists change.
It sounds like we're in for a wild ride.
Buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the struggle itself has value, you know?
Right.
It's through those challenges that we really grow
Yeah.
and evolve.
So it's not about reaching some like perfect state of enlightenment where we're just like free from all pain and suffering.
I know.
But it's more about like learning to dance with the darkness
It's a good way to put it.
and find the beauty.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of our challenges.
Exactly, finding beauty in the unexpected places.
Yeah.
That's what Nietzsche's all about.
So he offers this vision of life that's both joyful and tragic.
It is. It's full of contradictions,
Yeah.
exhilarating and heartbreaking,
Yeah.
embracing the totality of human experience.
Okay, so as we wrap things up here,
Yeah.
what are some of the key insights you hope our listeners will take away from this deep dive?
Well, I hope they come away with a deeper understanding of Nietzsche's philosophy,
Right.
particularly those ideas about the death of God,
Yeah.
the Superman,
Right.
the will to power.
Right.
But even more importantly, I hope they feel inspired
Oh,
to think critically about their own lives,
Mm-hmm.
their values,
Yeah.
and their aspirations.
Yeah. It's about taking ownership, right?
Absolutely.
Of our journeys
Own your journey.
and creating the lives that we want to live.
Exactly. And Nietzsche gives us a roadmap
Go.
for doing just that.
But I imagine some listeners might be feeling a little overwhelmed. Like, this is all very interesting.
It's a lot to take in.
But where do I even begin?
Yeah, that's understandable.
What would you say to those folks?
I'd say don't be afraid to take it one step at a time.
Okay.
You know, Nietzsche's philosophy, it's a vast landscape,
It is. Yeah.
but it's a journey you can take at your own pace.
Right?
Start by exploring the ideas that resonate with you,
Uh-huh.
and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Okay.
Find what works for you and make it your own.
Make your own. Yeah.
And remember, this journey to the Superman,
Yeah.
it's not a solitary one.
Right.
Connect with others who are exploring these ideas, share insights, support each other along the way.
That's great advice. And speaking of connecting,
Yeah.
I want to remind our listeners
Yes.
that we have a really vibrant online community
We do.
where they can do just that.
Come join us.
Head over to our website or social media pages to join the conversation.
We'd love to have you.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into part 2 of Thus Spake Zarathustra.
Wow. What a journey.
What a journey indeed. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired to go out and create something beautiful.
Me too. Remember, the world's our canvas.
Yeah.
We are the artists.
Let's go paint our masterpieces.
Let's do it.
And on that note, we want to thank you all for joining us on this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed this exploration of Nietzsche's thought-provoking work,
Oh, yeah.
be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the show for more deep dives into fascinating topics.
We've got plenty more to explore.
Until next time, happy